All right, it's 9:30. We'll go ahead and get started for the pre-meeting this morning. First item will be reorganization of council, elect council president and council pro tem for the final year of this term. Then we will, and I'll discuss this at the meeting, move into a time of agenda-related public comments, and then we'll get to approval of minutes. There were no changes that I know of. Any questions? Approval of monthly bills. Any questions? There were no changes. Set public hearings. Ordinance 244595 pre-zoning request 142524 2612 Old Moulton Road Southwest. No changes, and that's the set for November 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Any questions? Public hearings. Ordinance 244589 approved rezoning 142624 for 410 Railroad Street. The public hearing was set September 16th, 2024.
No change.
Any questions? Weed abatements. I do think there's one change, but I don't know.
C, it was paid on Friday.
C was?
24-236.
Okay, so we'll remove
For
C.
you guys, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Resolutions. A, Resolution 24243, preliminary approval of MUB FY25 expenditures expected to exceed $100,000. No changes?
No changes from us.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 24244, approved request for final suspension or revocation of the City of Decatur business license for TO1 Mexican Grill operating at 1318 6th Avenue. Any location in the City of Decatur to multiple tax delinquencies.
So a little update from last time we met, Kyle Lemeester, Finance. We had some communications with Mrs. Lemus on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have received the tax returns. That's just the returns, so we can calculate what's owed for sales tax from May 2024 to August 2024. We're still waiting on September's. And we've received May 2024 to July 2024 for the liquor tax, and we're still waiting on August and September. We've received no payments. She's asked if she could pay half today, and the other half was not communicated. We didn't make any sort of judgment or negotiations with her on that. Want to point out that we were in this exact situation 1 year ago, last year, with this taxpayer. And after reviewing what we've received from them from a return standpoint, we have some inclination to believe that we probably need to issue some other resources to audit what's being submitted. However, speaking with Lori, we're kind of at a point where we're not really sure how much more resource we should be applying to this taxpayer, being they can't seem to make payments of what's owed for the taxes. So just wanted to update you all before you had your decision made today.
Do you have a ballpark on what they're saying might be owed?
Yes, we know what they owe.
Can you share that?
No.
So, just because that goes to show what revenues are.
Correct.
Is it a reasonable amount that should be able to be paid?
Absolutely.
Okay. I guess, you know, it's one of the, and so it's not a significant amount of money.
In comparison,
It's all relative, right?
yeah, I guess it's hard to answer that question.
I deal with this all the time, where you're never going to get paid if it gets shut down, probably. There's no revenue being generated.
Sure.
Because they've already spent this money, obviously, even though it's tax collected
Absolutely.
money. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Where am I? Sorry. There we go. Resolution 24245, vacation 551 for Flint Church of Christ. Any questions? Resolution 24246, authorize mayor to accept National Park grant, Carnegie Historic Structures Report.
No change.
Any questions? questions? Resolution 24-247, authorize mayor to accept National Park Service grant for Albany Commercial District nomination.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24-248, authorize mayor to accept All-Star Parents grant from Child Trust Fund.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24-249, authorize mayor to accept the DECA grant for island removal at Red Hat Road and Mallard Fox Road.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24-250, approve additional funding for Point Mallard indoor pickleball and indoor tennis facilities.
No change.
Any questions? Resolution 24-251, award bid number 24033 to VSC Fire and Security for fire protection for Point Mallard indoor tennis and pickleball. Any questions? Resolution 24-252, award bid number 24034 for bituminous plant mix to Rogers Group.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24-253, award bid number 24036 to North Alabama Glass for 7th floor office wall. And I'll have one thing on that. Mr. Jackson had asked, since he's not going to be here today, that we table all of the items that have to do with the move to the 7th floor. So I think we should do that. Actually, ask Judge Golston not to come today. She's going to come next week if it's tabled. But somebody needs to make a motion in the meeting to table that. Any questions on that? Does that affect the bid? That's my only question.
So we ended up checking with, it could delay the project, but we checked with the owner of the building we're using now, and they're comfortable with extending the period of use until that project's complete.
For 1 month. Now, they may do it longer, but the request was to extend it till March 1st.
Okay.
The bid's good for 3 months.
Okay. All right, resolution 24-254, award bid number 24037 to Rosewood Nursery for nursery plants for Sportsplex.
No changes.
Any questions? And this is all for the berm?
This is, this berm goes all the way from Otis Road to Bunny Line.
Yeah. And that was part of our agreement with.
That's correct.
Resolution 24-255, approve agreement right-of-way for AlDOT on 6th Avenue project agreement.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24-256, approve agreement right-of-way for AlDOT on 6th Avenue project maintenance.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24-257, approve Riley Bridge Company Incorporated Washington Street Bridge repair.
No changes.
Any questions? Resolution 24-258, approve, well, we already talked about that, 7th floor renovations for Court Payment Center. We need a table motion on that as well. Ordinances first reading, ordinance 24-4596, annexation 378-24, 5.06 acres at 2612 Old Moulton Road.
No changes.
Any questions? Ordinances, ordinance 24-4593, authorize the issuance of $5 million revolving line of credit.
No change.
Any questions? Boards and committees, reappoint Susan Bedsole to the Animal Services Board, term expiring October 31st, 2029.
No change.
Any questions? Reappoint Laura Graham to the Animal Services Board, term expiring October 31st, 2029.
No changes.
Any questions? Reappoint Greg Clemens to the Decatur Downtown Redevelopment Authority, term expiring June 1st, 2030.
No changes.
Any questions? Reappoint John Joseph to the Decatur Downtown Redevelopment Authority, term expiring June 1st, 2030.
No changes.
Any questions? And last is mayoral appointment of Ross Terry to the Planning Commission with term expiring December 31st, 2026.
No changes.
And he will be filling Joseph Wynn's term, and there's no vote on that as a mayoral.
One correction, back on the setting of public hearings for the pre-zoning, it said November 4th, it should be November 18th.
Okay. November 18th.
Yes.
All right, we will get started at 10. Thanks. Call the meeting to order. Herman Marks will lead us in our invocation and the pledge.
Our Father, we are truly grateful to be here today. We thank you for the honor that we have to live in a country where you can express your opinions, and we ask now that you give us special guidance. May we seek your face and your guidance as we move through this meeting and throughout life. We ask now that you be, especially with our nation in the next few weeks as we vote to determine who will govern us on the federal level, state level, and we ask now that you give us a special blessing today. In this name we pray. Amen. We praise allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Herman. Roll call. Here. Here. All right, first item on the agenda is reorganization of council. This will be for our final year of this term. First, we'll have item A, elect council president.
Nominate Jake Bladner for the board.
We have a nomination by Mr. McMasters. Second by Mr. Pike. And that's a nomination for me to remain as council president. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bladner. McMasters.
Aye. I didn't vote. Aye. Sorry, aye. Aye. All right, that passes 3-0. Next we have B, elect council pro tempore.
Nominate Kyle Pike.
We have a motion by Mr. McMasters to nominate Mr. Pike. And you can
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
That passes 3-0. Next, we have agenda-related public comments, and kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. The last few meetings, I know it's kind of, in my opinion, the purpose of the meeting has been lost a little bit, and so I think kind of reorganizing how we do this makes sense after talking to some other municipalities and doing a little research. I think the best way to do it is kind of what we've come up with. What we'll do is at the beginning of the meeting here, agenda-related public comments is allow the public to comment on agenda-related items. Whether you want to comment on one or all of them, you'll have one time to do that instead of coming up time after time. Now, public hearings are different, and they will be, we do allow you to, by law, to do that. A couple of reasons why. I know we had someone last week sign in for 18 items, and so if you do the math, if we had 5 people do that, that's 90 times for people to speak on items, 4 minutes each is 360 minutes, and that equals 6 hours of time that we would allow, and that's just for 5 people. So we need to allow other, I know people have communicated to me, citizens, that they want to come speak at meetings, but because of kind of how they've been going during the agenda, they don't have time to sit through all that or whatever, and so we're just trying to make sure the meeting's done efficiently, and that the purpose of the meeting, which is for the council, primarily the council, to take this agenda, deliberate, debate if needed, and then vote. That's our primary objective. And then the secondary, kind of 1A to that, or 1B, sorry, is to hear from the public. We absolutely want to hear from the public. We will do that on agenda items in this section, and we will continue to do that in the public comments at the end. But we needed to kind of change things because they weren't, we could not kind of go on how the last few meetings have been. So that's what we're doing. Going forward, we'll see if it works, and if it doesn't, we'll make more adjustments. So we'll start with that. And the first person I had on agenda related is Mr. Fruit.
Okay, first off, I just want to say the invocation by Mr. Marks, he said, what a great place to be in this country where you can give out your opinion. This process you're just going through, unless it also includes the ability for us to do this at work sessions, will this still be the same requirement?
It's the same.
Okay, so we still will not be able to hear necessarily during a work session where this body will be getting together to figure out what we ought to be voting for with a 3-minute timeline.
Again, the purpose is for us to deliberate that and then hear from you at the beginning. So yes, we will hear from both the public and the council.
Okay.
And I will say, I think, and I wish Mr. Jackson was here and Mr. Pepper too, but I think that I would have the support of the whole council on this.
Sure. From my opinion, and the opinion of, I think, some people that also watch these meetings, trust and confidence is very quickly eroding in terms of our ability to express our opinions to this body. Specifically, things I want to talk about, agenda items, a bunch of checks written. We've talked about the police plan, police chief's plan. Has anybody here heard how he's doing with that? Anybody?
I believe he gave an update on that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, he did. And what he said he was going to do is basically one-liners. He's going to do this, he's going to do that. When I look at the checks that are written for this last month, his crisis communications planning from Blue to Gold LLC for $675 will pay for 3 officers to attend training. That's part of his plan. 3 officers out of 140 authorized strength. I'm not sure how that's going to get passed down to leadership, down to the lowest level. Eagle Consulting LLC for $1725, counseling, what's that for?
So we have an employee assistance program where they're able to go and receive counseling, and that's what it's for. So there's times whenever certain employees need to go and visit to receive professional assistance.
Okay, I believe this is part of the chief's well-being program. Now, how is that going to be sustained with United Healthcare going down the tubes here?
I'm sorry?
How is that going to be sustained when United Healthcare is going down the tubes in November?
So I saw one of your comments. I think that you might have a misunderstanding on the United Healthcare situation. That has nothing to do with city employees. That's to do with city retirees.
Okay.
Well, let's make sure we understand. United Healthcare has to provide notice to all those insured. It will not impact, it's been on the media, so it's no secret, it will not impact under the local government program, retirees, whether they be on Medicare or otherwise. There is a special exception for that. So it will not impact city retirees. And that's the rest of us right now are on local government through Blue Cross Blue Shield. So they're not going to affect our ability. We will remain in network as retirees, okay?
Georgia Tactical Officers Association for $300, what's that for?
I don't know.
It's a 3-day conference, I believe, for 1 officer. So a total of 4 officers so far under the chief's plan are going to get trained. Law Enforcement Risk Management, $425. That's a course designed to reduce litigation efforts for the city. Who attended that? What's the purpose of that training?
I don't know.
Could anyone in this room tell me what that is?
I'm not sure what that training was for.
Okay, so this is all part of the chief's plan, presumably. Now, Morgan County, we're paying $39,000 for what service?
I have to look into that. We pay them for jail. We pay them for probably multiple things that we share.
Morgan County 911.
911 contract, I guess, for
There's
their
an allocation we pay Morgan County 911 every month for their services.
Yeah.
All these requests that you have
Dispatch.
should be made through the FOIA process.
Yeah,
We will
that's-
answer anything you have through the FOIA process.
The reason I'm asking that question is because on September 12th, I returned to my house. When I got to my house, the power had been off prior to. My wife put in a number for our alarm company. That alarm that she put in was a duress code. I talked to the alarm company. That should have gone to a 911 officer and then relayed to the police department here. Well, in the process of doing that, no officer ever showed up. Now, I've been to Internal Affairs to ask them why that occurred, and I was told basically it's a personnel matter and you're not authorized to hear anything about it. Now, I would say that's not a good police response time. There's a 911 board, which, as I've seen the last 2 or 3 of them, actually the chief was at the last one, there's no discussion on police response times at those boards. Fire department, absolutely. They'll tell you down to the last second how long it takes.
Yeah, I think that's the ambulance regulatory board you're discussing. There is a 911 board, is probably the better place to address that.
Is that, well, actually the Internal Affairs Office, I would think, but I'll go to that one next too.
Or just contacting 911, the Morgan County folks. They might have an answer for that, but I don't know the answer.
Okay, I would offer to you the chief's plan in terms of being a more productive police force is inadequate, and somebody needs to provide some more resources to look into how it's doing, what it's doing, and how it's providing the services it claims to be providing. Because as of right now, that chief's plan is not being done.
Thank you. Blake, I had you guys, but is that on a public hearing? Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't have anyone else, and that's, I'm sorry, y'all have 2 signed in for that? Okay, gotcha. Just making sure. All right, we'll move into the agenda now. Approval of minutes. We did have a request to take D separately, so we'll take A, B, and C first. Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye. A, B, and C are approved 3-0. Now we'll take D, October 7th, 2024.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
No.
Aye.
D is approved with a vote of 2-1. Approval of monthly bills, approved September 2024 monthly bills.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters. Aye.
September 2024 monthly bills approved 3-0. Next, we have set public hearings. Ordinance 244595, pre-zoning request number 142524, 2612 Old Moulton Road, Southwest. Public hearing will be set November 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Any questions? Y'all have any? We're good. All right. And that's the pre-zoning for the intersection. So, yeah. Public hearings, ordinance 244589, approved rezoning 142624 for 410 Railroad Street. Public hearing was set September 16th, 2024. This is, go ahead, thanks.
Yeah, this is to rezone it to the B5. It's a consolidation of lots on the railroad from Railroad Street.
All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak on this item, you can speak now. All right, seeing no one here to speak, we'll consider the public hearing closed. Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Aye.
Ordinance 244589 is approved 3-0. Weed abatements, we did remove C, but everything else was as it was last week. We'll take all these together. So moved. Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
Mr. President, there may be somebody here, I don't think there are, but
Sorry, on this item? Okay, if there's anyone here to speak on,
well, I'm talking about a property owner or somebody had a question.
yeah.
I don't think there are anybody, okay.
Yeah. All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Ladner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Weed abatements are approved 3-0. Resolutions, resolution 24243, preliminary approval of MUB FY25 expenditures expected to exceed $100,000.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Gary Borden with Decatur Utilities, and what we have here before you today is a list of capital improvement items over our next year's budget, what we call FY25 budget, that exceed $100,000. And according to our act, we have to present those capital expenditures to the council for approval. So what we have here today is a list of items. We went over those with our department managers in some detail last week. So these have been approved in our FY25 operating budget that the board has approved, and we'll bring those back to our board individually after this, but this gets us a head start on when we have to go out for bids and meeting bid timelines and processes for that. So with that, I'll entertain any questions that you have. We got our department managers here that would explain any specific item you would like to know about and ask for your approval today.
Motion by Mr. Pike.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? I have one thing. It's more, I think the large item was like 15 million or something, and it had to do with continued, basically SSO mitigation, pipe bursting, replacement. And I find it somewhat ironic that the 6th Avenue project is on this, getting that started is on this, and I've told people this before, but I think the two things I heard most in 2020 when I was going door to door, as you could do in 2020, which was not get too close to people, were two things. And my district's about as far away from 6th Avenue as you can get. And I heard about making the entrance to the city look better. That coming across the bridge was not, did not reflect how my district felt like that welcome should be. And the second one, maybe even more so, was the elimination of SSOs. And there had been a lot in the news at that time. We've all done this publicly, but I do want to thank you, Gary, Jimmy, all of you guys, the whole team. Ray's not here, the board, and we had a part in that and approving that plan. But we haven't had one. I should have asked before. Have we had any this year, rain-induced?
It's been 2.5 years.
2.5 years since we've had a rain-induced SSO, and that was an ongoing issue that we had a 40-year plan to fix, that we shrunk to a 10-year plan that seems to have worked in 3 years. Not to speak too soon, that can still happen, but that's a big deal, and it's going to be hard, for me to say, well, what do you think you accomplished and stuff when you were on the council. That's probably going to be one of the top things, is that we had a major problem, and we got it fixed. It was going to be fixed in 40 years, and it's nearly fixed in 3. So I just think that's a really big deal for the city. That was a negative that we can now turn into a positive. So I'm glad that's still ongoing. We're still replacing those things, and you guys have done a great job.
Yeah, there's still work to do, and we're doing that for the next few years, but thanks to the council for helping us get through that, and we're seeing a great improvement, and Jimmy and his folks are seeing that through, and so...
And then back to the ratepayers, I see Lee out there, the borrow, and Lisa, and at that time, Steve.
Yeah.
In my district, he's going to be mad at me. Steve did a great job too, is that we borrowed at about the greatest time in history to do it, and then did taxable bonds that we could then get a return back on. Even though prices have gone up, that's helped offset some of that, because we borrowed at 2% or something and get returns of 5 on that taxable piece. So anyway, just a really successful thing. We'll continue to do that. We wanted to thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion or questions? All right, roll call.
Blackner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye. Resolution 24-243 is approved 3-0. Resolution 24-244, approved request for final suspension or revocation, City Decatur business license for Tijuana Mexican Grill operating at 1318 6th Avenue, Southeast Decatur, Alabama 35601, or any location within the City of Decatur due to multiple tax delinquencies.
Good morning, council. Yeah, again, this is for the revocation of business license. I think I've kind of laid out the details of the situation. No payment has been received, and the taxpayer is delinquent.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters. Second. Second by Mr. Pike. You can come forward.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have here partial of the amount owed, and I also wanted to tell everybody that ever since last year when we had that incident as well, there was false information on the Decatur Daily that had been affecting our business ever since then.
So we heard from the CFO this morning that you are trying to work something out where you would pay half of what's owed
Yes,
today.
yes. I have one check right here. I have another one coming, and then I have the rest.
When would it all be paid? And-
Probably around 5 o'clock today.
Okay, so you're saying everything would be paid?
Yes, sir.
We can't accept a check though, is that right?
Cashier check, we can.
I have a cashier's check.
The issue we're running into, I think we went through this last time, I do not want to close a business.
Right.
I just don't. But you're collecting taxes that citizens are paid that have to be remitted to the city, and those are not being remitted in not every other, but 99% of other businesses, restaurants
Gotcha.
are doing that.
Right.
So it's unfair to them if we continue to allow this to happen.
I mean, I understand that, but we've been here for 11 years. It's
Yeah.
not like,
I understand. I don't really know what I think about this because it's been a pattern. We went through this last year. We're going through it again this year, and it's just not fair to businesses which is almost every business we
Right.
have. That they are limited now.
Fair to the residents who are paying sales tax.
right. But it's not fair for somebody to publish something.
Sure, I understand that, but we gotta, anyway, I'm open to discussion if you have any, I know you, in the pre-meeting said that we may have to look into the numbers a little more to see what's owed, which I guess.
Which is standard practice when we have, this is not, what I'm trying to say is this isn't, we're doing this because of the situation. We issue audits when we have speculation, and it varies across various industries.
How long does that process take?
It would be, I mean, I can't speak for how fast Burger Tree can get out here, but it would be months.
And then what would that cost?
So the way that they're compensated is they collect a portion of whatever they find. So if they find nothing, they make nothing. If they find whatever, they get a portion of that.
It's based off tax returns?
Correct.
And we're told, just through our own office, I say told, we see that your business is doing very well. Whenever we run by during peak hours,
Right.
say lunch, dinner,
Yes, sir.
business looks good.
Yeah, but like I said, it had been affected since last year.
Let me ask you this.
Yes,
Say
sir.
we say today, okay, you're saying you're gonna pay it in full today. And then we come back and it didn't get paid in full next time. What should we do?
Just close it down.
Okay.
Big-
I suggest, I think Mr. Marks had this suggestion, since we're in this situation, which was kind of predictable, a temporary, like we had last time, I forget the term of it.
Yeah, I think it was, when it got paid, there was then, and I voted against it.
Condition.
But yeah, there was a conditional revocation where basically if it happened again, we would skip the first step.
Correct.
And it was paid, but it was paid during that time, and then once that lapsed, I think is the issue, then there was not being presented again.
Yeah.
Which is a concern.
Right,
Obviously,
and I
we see
understand that, and-
If we were to do something similar to that.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I mean, we don't want to see a small business close, and certainly understand the challenges of that. I think.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what you want to consider. Of course, this is the same thing we had a year ago, unfortunately, for them. You could table it and see if she can fulfill it. That way you don't have to reset and go through the process again. You can table it, or you can go ahead and make a decision now. But what I mean by table, I mean the next meeting.
Here's where I am. I said it that first one, that I will vote to shut it down if this happens again. We're here again. Depending on what these guys want to do, I'm okay with tabling for one meeting, but that's it.
And I'll support tabling for one meeting. I guess my question would be, they've not paid September yet. So if we table just one meeting, would we be able to see, if she pays in full for what she owes,
penalties, interest,
et cetera, will we be able to see the next month to see that she keeps it up? If we do it, if we look at it in the first meeting in November versus looking at it the second, so 1 month from now.
We can keep you guys up to date. We can't share the actual
I That's, yeah, I'm just saying, will we be able to know, did they remit that for September?
We can keep you guys up to date.
Yeah, Miss Lori already gave me the September all together with that.
I think just from an accounting perspective, I mean, we just got to get those taxes remitted. I mean,
Yes.
It's just got to be done.
Oh, I understand that.
When I heard a couple of tabling discussions, but,
I'm going to jump in. So in addition to the tabling, would you consider working with legal on what the council president mentioned in a conditional revocation at that same time?
yeah, I think if it's paid, then we would go.
Yeah, the tabling it simply allows us another, either 2 weeks or 4 weeks to see if they get squared. And then at that point, if they do, I would be open to looking at that. But if it is not, I will absolutely vote to close it if things are not squared up and prepared for the following months after.
I just want to also add that the communication process just needs to be a little bit better. I mean, we went months where we didn't hear anything from anybody, and obviously now we're at this point, everyone's here to talk about it. So if I can make a suggestion so you're not here when Miss Lori's reaching out to you, it's of importance to get with her, because we're trying, we're trying our best to keep any business from coming to this point.
Yes, sir.
And I would say that that's a very good point, is that I think the purpose in a call, obviously, is, hey, we're behind.
Yeah.
But it's also, in my experience with Lori, who does an outstanding job, I'm lucky to have her too, is she's trying to help. Like,
Yes.
she's like, hey, we're going to get to a point where we can't.
Help
You're
you,
not going
yeah.
to be able to, but she really wants to be helpful. So
Yes, sir.
just keep that in mind. I think working with her is always going to help you and not hurt you.
Yeah. And we've had like accounting issues, so that's
Yeah.
why it's been mainly
I
more.
think that we had that last year too, so we got to get that fixed. But
Yeah.
if somebody make a motion, or I guess we need to withdraw your motion. Or withdraw his motion and withdraw the second. Do we have a motion to table?
Carl, do you think, is 2 weeks enough? Do you think 4? Would you get a better?
No, we need to do 2 weeks because I want to see what's on gets paid.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be the 2 weeks to ensure we get payment of what's owed, and then some sort of conditional to ensure that we're not going to be here in 6 months again, we're having the same conversation. That would just keep us more current throughout the year.
All right. We have a motion to table one meeting, which would be the first meeting of November, by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President,
Yeah.
you need to go ahead and get it paid. We don't need to be here 2 weeks from now, and I'm not trying to be, other than be
I
helpful.
think
It's not paid.
and I asked that, and she gave a good answer. If it's not paid.
I understand, but we don't need to, my thought is, yeah, she just needs to go and do what you just got through saying, you're gonna get it paid today. That will help us.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That'll help you.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good.
All right, any discussion on the tabling? All right, roll call.
Lyman.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Pike.
We'll table resolution 24-244, passes with a vote of 3-0. Resolution 24-245, vacation 551 for Flint Church of Christ.
Yes, Council, this is to expand the parking lot. It's a vacation of a very small street that goes right through their parking lot. It hasn't been used in years.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? And Blake's here if anybody has questions, but I think we do. All right, roll call.
Lyman.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Pike.
Resolution 24-245, approved 3-0. Resolution 24-246, authorize mayor to accept National Park Grant, Carnegie Historic Structures Report.
Yes, sir. This is a grant for the structural study for the Carnegie Building. It's got a 40% match for the city. The total grant is $41,667.
Motion by Mr. Pike.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lyman.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Pike.
Resolution 24-246, approved 3-0. Resolution 24-247, authorize mayor to accept National Park Services grant for Albany Commercial District nomination.
Yes, this is a study to determine how many historical buildings are actually on 2nd Avenue. And this study just basically goes into that. The grant is basically 40% match as well.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye. Resolution 24-248, authorize mayor to accept the All-Star Parents Grant from Child Trust Fund.
Yeah, this is an annual grant with no cash match at $77,000 they get every year.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? That, we did have a question on that, and I did ask, and it is primarily used for salaries.
Yes,
So,
that's correct.
for DYS. All right, that is approved. Oh, sorry. Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye. Resolution 24-248 approved 3-0. Resolution 24-249, authorize the mayor to accept the DECA grant. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. Resolution 24-249 is approved 3-0. Resolution 24-250, approve additional funding for Point Mallard indoor pickleball and indoor tennis facilities. Jason.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This resolution just updates the original resolution and puts the funding what it was supposed to be originally and the money that's already been secured for it. So this is not, right. So this just makes the original resolution correct based off the money that was gotten for the projects.
Motion by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Just to be clear, we had originally planned on pickleball at the new rec center site. That changed early on in the process, so we were taking funding from that project to move to this, and that's basically what we're doing today.
Correct.
Yep.
Right. And the original resolutions, like I say, they were just pretty much based off accounting numbers, I think. So one other thing too is we had asked for originally, and when this came before the council before, another $500,000 to pay for fire suppression. We're not asking for any additional funding to do that. We'll be able to cover that in the original budget based off some efficiencies that went through, we had in that process.
Sounds like you're bragging.
We got a good team, so.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Resolution 24-250 is approved 3-0. Resolution 24-251, award bid number 24033 to VSC Fire and Security for fire protection for Point Mallard indoor tennis and pickleball.
This is for fire protection for those facilities you mentioned. 18 vendors were invited to participate. VSC was the lone respondent. The bid opening was held on September 26, and it's recommended for approval.
Motion by Mr. Pike. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Resolution 24-251 approved 3-0. Resolution 24-252, award bid number 24034 for bituminous plant mix. Rod's Group.
This is an annual contract renewal for bituminous plant mix. The current contract has been in place for 3 years. The bid opening was held on September 26th, and we had 3 vendors respond, and Rogers Group is recommended for approval.
Motion by Mr. Pike. Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye. Resolution 24-252 approved 3-0. Resolution 24-253, award bid number 24036 to North Alabama Glass, 7th floor office wall, and I mentioned motion to table by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. This was a request, Mr. Jackson made since he couldn't be here today to table this item. Roll call to table.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Tabling this item is approved 3-0. I think we'll just move it to the next meeting. And then the last one as well. Resolution 24-254, award bid number 24037 to Rosewood Nursery for nursery plants for Sportsplex.
Yes, this bid is for plants at the Sportsplex. We invited 35 vendors, and Rosewood Nursery was the only respondent. I would recommend for approval.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye. Resolution 24-254 approved 3-0. Resolution 24-255 approved agreement right-of-way for Aldott on 6th Avenue project agreement.
Yes, Council, this is for the 6th Avenue project. This agreement is for the improvements of the median installation and the improvements that go along the streetway.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. Aye. Resolution 24-255 is approved 3-0. Resolution 24-256, approved agreement right-of-way for Aldott on 6th Avenue project maintenance.
And this agreement is for the maintenance, so it'll be the maintenance of the sidewalks, the ramp lifts, anything on the 6th Avenue project.
Motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
I have some, just curious, because we started this so long ago, y'all interested in, I guess, whenever the bids go out and having it done like from
No.
Wilson?
I am, actually. I do think that having it, it's my opinion, but
I didn't get to ask the question.
yeah,
I knew it was
You don't go-
well, you and I have talked about this. I think that doing it to Lee Street and then Lee to, is that Gordon or Prospect? Prospect.
Well, you might consider to Moulton and then to Prospect.
I think the two, because that had been discussed. And
I have zero interest in looking at it from two projects. I would suggest at a minimum, you could include a large portion of it as almost an alternate, but I do not think you need to break it out into bids. We do not know where the number's going to come in. Volker's rank pricing exercises.
isn't that kind of a reason to do that? Because we don't know.
I'm encouraging an alternate.
My only issue with that is that we bid it out to a contractor, to Lee Street, and then you turn around and you bid it out, say it comes in where it needs to be, and then you go, well, we want to do the whole phase. You got to bid that portion out again.
I think he's saying
two
that's an
separate.
alternate.
I'm saying it's an alternate.
I would be fine as an alternate, but not cutting it out completely.
Would you want to bid the whole thing first, see if the number comes back, and then go?
Do that, but do the second half
Do
of
the
it
second as an alternate.
Second as an alternate, okay, just so I know.
It would be from Lee Street to Prospect as an alternate.
And maybe even talk to Volker about it. They may have some input on what portion you could pull out to get that, because it may just be, we want to do the sidewalks all the way and not some of the additional medians or something.
And I mean, that's my biggest concern with it, is, we started this process 3.5 years ago, and it's taken this long to get documents approved for maintenance and so on and so forth.
That's because of Aldott.
Well, yeah, I was going to tee that one up for you. Yes, that is because of Aldott, but it's where, is the money going to be good 3 years?
Fine.
I have concerns about that.
So basically, we're going to get basically two bids. One is an alternate, one is the entire bid, and then one up to Lee Street is what we're looking at.
One other
Just so I'm clear.
point of just discussion is a lot of this, I think, has been looked at as beautification. I even brought that up a few minutes ago when I talked about it when Gary was up here. But the traffic calming, and I think we're going to hear something about that a little bit later, but the speed calming through that corridor, I think is obviously part of this. Safety when it comes to the poles being removed is a big deal as well. And I think we just don't need to lose sight of that. There is a major beautification part of this. My favorite part of it is on the second half where we remove traffic lights, because there's way too many traffic lights from the bridge to Delano. And that impacts us from a residential growth and in a lot of ways is traffic in and out of the city, and removing those traffic lights and putting non-left turns there, I think is very important. But I agree. I think we don't know the cost, and so having the ability to adjust in the bid, I think, is important.
Now, the TAP grant that covers a portion of the sidewalks, it covers the
Full coverage to Prospect.
Really, all the alternate would be the median and landscaping from Lee to Prospect.
That remove, yeah. Yeah.
And we looked at,
The intersection improvements.
we looked at our number one tourist attraction in the state last week with the controlled access that they have in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach. And they have sod in their,
Yeah, it's all.
as opposed to planting plans that reduce the maintenance costs.
Yeah, the only, I'm fairly certain those are sprinkled too, though, being an additional cost to do.
And just keep in mind that on the bid, whatever the bid comes back at, for both of those bids, you still will have CE&I, and there'll be some extra cost for WOW and Spectrum coming off the poles. AT&T is already off the poles. Not significant, but still a little bit more, just so you know you have a final number, because there's always a hidden cost.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call. Aye. Aye. Resolution 24-256, approved 3-0. Resolution 24-257, approved Riley Bridge Company Incorporated, Washington Street Bridge repair.
Yeah, this is for the repairs on the Washington Street Bridge. We own the bridge, so it's something that needs to happen.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
I think Mr. Jackson asked last week, would that have to be closed at any time, or would they do all the work?
His answer to Carl was he didn't think so, maybe very exempt, but it's all underneath. Is that what you heard? Yeah. All right, any discussion? Roll call? Aye. Aye. Resolution 24-257 approved 3-0. Resolution 24-258 approved 7-4 renovations. Motion to table by Mr. McMasters, second by Mr. Pike. Again, same reason we did the glass bid earlier. Any discussion? This will be tabled to the next meeting. Roll call. Aye. Aye. Resolution 24-258 approved tabling of resolution 258 is approved 3-0. Ordinances first reading, ordinance 24-4596, annexation 378-24, 5.06 acres at 2612 Old Moulton Road. So first reading.
Yeah, it's annexation request.
And this goes hand in hand with the
Pre-zoning to B1, that's correct.
All right, any questions? All right, ordinances. Ordinance 24-4593 authorizes the issuance of a $5 million revolving line of credit. Lisa.
Good morning, Council. My name is Lisa Terry with Decatur Utilities. This is the renewal $5 million line of credit with Renaissance Bank that's been in place for a number of years. The original issue was February 28, 2014. The term is 2 years. It has a tax-free variable rate equivalent to the Wall Street Journal prime minus 1%. Any questions?
So motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. Ordinance 24-4593 is approved 3-0. Boards and committees, reappoint Susan Bedsall to the Animal Services Board, term expiring October 31st, 2029. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. And this is the second term. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. Aye. Susan Bedsall is reappointed 3-0. Reappoint Laura Graham to the Animal Services Board, term expiring October 31st, 2029. So this is by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike, and this is a second term as well. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. Laura Graham's reappointed 3-0. Reappoint Greg Clemens to the Decatur Downtown Redevelopment Authority. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Second term for Greg. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. Greg Clemens is reappointed 3-0. Reappoint John Joseph to the Decatur Downtown Redevelopment Authority, term expiring June 1st, 2030. Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye. John Joseph's reappointed with a vote of 3-0. And then the last item is no vote, but there's a mayoral appointment of Ross Terry to the Planning Commission with term expiring December 31st, 2026. We need to wait until he comes back.
No, that's just really an announcement. It's a mayor's appointment. What this does is allow us to document it.
Do we need to wait until he comes back to continue the meetings? We don't have
Yeah, oh, yes, yes.
All right, we'll take a 3-minute recess then.
That's all right.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just giving the recess.
So we're very thankful for the new residential dorms that Calhoun placed downtown. I guess there were a couple of entities actually involved in that. With that, there were some exterior lighting that came with the project that did not match the existing lighting downtown, the Sternberg lighting. And reached out to the architects regarding the music and movement project, and the same fixtures had been spec'd out for it. And so I got with Dr. Hodges and explained what we were trying to do as a city and having the same type of lighting downtown as relates to the Sternberg lighting, and he was in total agreement, and not even as it relates to the new music and movement facility, but even trying to go back and slowly replace the lights around the residents or the door. So just an update on that.
They try to make an effort to use all the Sternberg and the farmer's market is looking at the same thing, so to have them all.
And
That's good.
Kelly Thomas brought that to my attention, so I really appreciate it.
No, a lot. We appreciate them doing that, making them with it, make the changes.
All right, just for the next, we do have a meeting tomorrow from 4:30 to 6. It's not a formal meeting, but a public meeting, 4:30 to 6 at Turner Searles around the zoning rewrite. There'll be tables set up, people will ask questions and answer those. So tomorrow, October 22nd, 4:30 to 6, Turner Searles. Next council work session will be held on October 28, 2024 at 5 p.m. Next regular council meeting will be held on November 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We'll move into a public comment section first, and I'll just go in order, same structure. I'm sorry. Jason, yes, sir.
I was asked from the folks, the public meetings we were talking about for those parks. We were putting dates out this week for the ones for the dog park at Wilson Morgan and the playground at Wilson Morgan. There'll be things there that you options, so we want everybody's opinion on those. And we'll also do one for the park at Gordon Terry after that. So
Parkway Park.
Yeah.
That one has been announced. Y'all got something else, I think.
Well, I think we're going to end up doing one week and one the next, so they're not all going to be together.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just be looking out for those.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Anything else? Okay. All right, we'll start. We'll go in order, 3 minutes with 1 minute to wrap up. First on my list is Ryan Mixon.
Hi, guys. Good morning, guys.
You can raise that up. Yes.
There we are. Thank you, guys. I'm here this morning to discuss the speed on Sandlin Road. My name is Ryan Mixon. This is my wife, Erica, and my son's fiance, Savannah Morrow. My son, Nicholas, was hit by a speeder on Sandlin Road 3 weeks ago at Wilson Morgan Park. Nicholas was fortunate enough to be in the presence of 3 angels in waiting who were able to clear the distance at Morgan Park, restart his heart and his lungs, and keep him alive until medical professionals got there on the scene. These women deserve more than I could ever pay a debt to them at all. He is still alive, and he is in a comatose state in Huntsville Hospital. They are given his chances of survival at pretty low, and cognitive ability as well. As much as he enjoyed Wilson Morgan Park, he won't ever steal a base or throw a ball there again. I've said all that to say that I took the time here recently to talk with some of the residents on Sandlin Road, and who, while admitting their care and concern for the issue, also admit their guilt. They've lived on Sandlin Road for years in that area by Wilson Morgan Park. And a particular quote was, "If I'm doing 45, I'm holding up traffic." And it's been that way for years, was his response to me, in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. I don't know if you guys have seen it on Facebook, but the pictures of the vehicle that hit my son, there's no way that a human body does that at 30 miles an hour. But I am not here this morning to place blame or point fingers, judgment upon the young man that hit my son, or the way his family raised him may or may not It is easy to get your foot heavy going down that road. You are coming down a hill. You are looking at a very long traffic light at Beltline Road. This is southbound on Sandlin. We moved our son here when he was 12 years old and has grown to be one of the most caring and compassionate persons I've ever met in my life. And although I believe that his mother and I played a huge part in that, I would be remiss to say that the good people of this town did not play a huge role in that. This community has helped to raise my son. And I know if he could be here today, he would advocate for this same thing, not just for himself, but for anyone in the future that this has an effect on. I know that when something like this happens, it changes more lives than his or mine own or the person who hit my son. It's an effect on this entire community that has been so, yes, ma'am, so welcoming to have us back and the support that we've had. I'm not going to pretend to be able to wax intellectually about the allocation of police funds or the manpower presence or where they should be. But I'm glad I came this morning. I mean, I love the beautification, but if there's money for shrubbery outside the pickleball courts, there's certainly money for a deterrent. Just the flashing lights, just to remind someone of their speed. We're not saying ticket everyone that goes down this road, although it would be a great source of revenue for the city, but just something to remind those people of their speed going there. I was standing there trying to take scene photos and was blown away by sheer wind force of these vehicles passing by me nonstop. Yeah, I was almost hit 3 times. But as the #1 trauma team in the nation told my son's mother and I the other day that they have done all that they can and it is in God's hands now whether he wakes up from this coma or not, I ask if we as a city and as a community have done all that we can to prevent this from happening on Sandlin Road and to ensure the safety of all the citizens there, young and old.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this to us. I think we will certainly look into what can be done. So,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nixon, Ms. Nixon, to the fiance, very, very sorry about our son and fiance. We will take a look at this.
Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing about it, guys.
all right, Mike Stovall.
I'm not going to stand before you too long. I guess I'm going to piggyback on what Mr. Flaruki said. I've been going over Todd's plan for a little over a week. And I don't have the full plan, so I think you all need to figure out how to get the full plan on the internet so that we can see it. I have an outline. And this outline needs some legs to it or some meat to it because I don't understand how we're going to get from point A to point B with this plan. I know the person who wrote the plan, and I'm sure that maybe they need to come back and help Todd put some legs to it, but I don't think that we have the time to wait on a third-party review in order to determine which direction our police department is going to go in. I know we need to on one end, but on another end, we have to worry about our safety. And that's what I'm worried about is our safety. And it's not about, when we get up here and talk about different things, my concern is not just about the police department, but I got concerns about other departments as well. And I think it's time to start cleaning this place up. I know I am investigating with 7 women who have been done wrong in a department here that have been fired or have been chose to leave their position because of male authority being mean to them or treating them any kind of way. And I think that we need to evaluate on some of these departments. I'll bring you further information later, but I don't know. I think we need to get some more meat on this, and I'll get with you all on the other situation later.
Thanks, Mike. Mr. Faruqi.
Okay, so we had 41 agenda items today, and every one of them probably deserves some opportunity for discussion at a work session at least. But now that's been mitigated down to an early and a late discussion point. I had the opportunity to go to a meeting about 2 weeks ago, maybe longer. I think the only person in this room that may have gone to it is Chief Thornton. It was put on, I think, by the Chamber of Commerce. They hired somebody to come in and talk to a group of supposed leaders within the community. SIP was not there at this meeting. They went to the first one. They did not go to the second one for no other reason than the fact that there were some discussion points in the first one that didn't necessarily get translated to the second. At that meeting, though, some key topics of discussion on how the city ought to move forward. Now, there were supposed to be no elected officials at that meeting. I'm assuming that's true. But what came out of that was discussion points on how we can move the city forward. Now, again, this is Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, a bunch of leaders within the community. One of them was gain empathy. How does the city gain empathy? How does the city understand what the public is having an issue about? Number two was they want the mayor to listen. So I applaud you for being here today. It's the first time in a number of weeks that you've been here. They also said they wanted to have stop treating communities of color as a project. That was the discussion point. And rather than to say, we're going to fix this, it's not a problem, okay? From that community, it is not a problem. The problem is with the city of Decatur's reaction and response to them. That's the problem. They said, how do you make change when the emphasis or the powers to be are maintaining the status quo as a priority? And I say that because this meeting in particular, what you just did today in this meeting, is maintenance of status quo. You may think you're doing better for the city. The ability for the city to respond and provide you resources and information, you've just tanked it.
Wrong.
Okay. How so?
Me and you are meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Yeah, only because Jacob,
That was a mistake.
you're right, it was. Only because we're meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock, only because you went forward and pushed this agenda.
I've met with you many times.
We've met,
Every time you've asked me to meet.
and I asked you to meet tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
Are you going to be there? Thanks.
Can't wait.
And then the other thing was brought up is a need to contribute to a culture change. Okay, what you have just done is not contributing positively to a culture change. And Mayor, how was your church on Sunday?
Church was very nice. We were invited, the pastor and elder of St. Stephen Primitive Baptist Church. Me and my wife,
Who else attended with you?
Sheriff Puckett and his wife and 2 grandchildren.
Were they invited also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
I'd like to finish answering, so had a nice time of worship there.
All right, anything else from Mayor, Council? We are adjourned. Thanks.